What's going on, guys? This is Carl at the RacerRed channel. Here you see me with the step ramp, which I am absolutely loving. If you guys want to order one of these, just use the code name Carl on checkout. It won't give you a discount or anything, but it will help me out, so I would super appreciate it. Anyways, guys, I am doing the Idaho City 100 of 2022. This was a ridiculously wet and soppy race. The camera just does not show it whatsoever. A lot of the riders opted out of this day just because of the conditions. So as you look through the results, you will see a huge percentage of riders on this day. They just showed up, looked at the conditions and said nope. And a whole bunch of riders actually did not finish even after they started the race. So it was definitely a wet one. I actually thought the conditions in a lot of this course were pretty decent, really. It was either really bad or pretty good. There were some spots that were nice and loamy, but I would say it was 50-50 of just loamy, nice soil, and the rest of it was just like a mud bog of slime. So some of the downhills were a little bit sketchy. That's one aspect that you really just can't see when you're watching the video, is just how slick things are. So one thing to keep in mind is most of this race is just trying to get to checkpoints in a certain minute. So, for example, if I leave at 9:37 and I have to be at the next checkpoint at 10:37, then I can't get there early and I can't get there late. So what's happening is I'm keeping a good trail pace all the way to the next checkpoint, and then I will just wait there until 10:37, and then I'll go through the checkpoint. I will get equally penalized for being early as I would being late, so it's really important to be on time. The only spot on this race that you actually race is the special tests, and there are 4 or 5 special tests throughout this course. I think I only recorded one of them because my camera battery only lasted about an hour in this race. But I did record one special test, so you guys can kind of see what that's like. The special test, you just go as fast as you can until the finish line, and then you continue the course until your next special test. There are, like I said, there's special tests, and those are really the races of this course. But there are also checks, just to check in on you, make sure you're not cutting the course. And then, of course, there are the timed checks. And those are the ones that you have to stop at and make sure that you don't pass them until your exact minute. Each minute that you are early or late, you'll get docked points. So just going through this course, you can definitely see the conditions. They vary greatly depending on where you're at. It seemed like the mud just got to the point where it was just slime. Some of the special tests, I got airborne and landed in ruts that were, I got my rear wheel in one rut and my front in another. Got cross-rutted pretty bad, and I only went down once during this race. I was keeping a nice slow and steady pace. Just I figured that consistency would be key during this event, and it really was. I only went down once, like I said. It was during, I think, the 4th special test. It wasn't even during a hard section or anything. I just went through a muddy corner and lost the front end. But other than that, I stayed upright this entire course, and I kept good momentum, stayed off my clutch. I realized I was having bike problems pretty early on, and that is the thing that took me out during this race is bike problems, although I did finish. I ended up finishing. Unfortunately, some head bolts didn't get tightened all the way during my last engine rebuild, and that caused a lot of excess heat. And it wasn't long before I lost all my coolant in my radiator, and so the bike drank all my water from my hydration pack, and that caused extra fatigue on me, of course. But I did everything I could during this race to keep my bike cool. It started really giving me some problems. About halfway through the course, it really started spitting and sputtering. About 3/4 of the way through this course, about 75 miles in or so, It really, well, it completely died on me going up one of the hills, and it wouldn't start for about 25 minutes or so. I was making really good time up to that point, just on my way to the next checkpoint, that is. But yeah, the bike ended up dying, and I'm just guesstimating how long I was there, but I would imagine about 20-25 minutes just sitting there, letting my bike cool down. I thought that it just wasn't going to start back up, so I decided that I was going to roll it basically down the hill and connect into a trail and try to push the bike down to a road, which actually did not work out for me. And I have video of that because I had a secondary camera inside my pack, so I threw that on and showed you guys some of my adventure. So it was definitely an adventure. I did finish, so I did not get a DNF, and I got a silver medal, so it's pretty awesome. I was pretty stoked for the results considering the situation. I really didn't push it today. I was just having a lot of weird flat tire like feedback from my front bib because it was worn out, so I was basically running with a flat tire. It was feeling really wonky up there, and that's really normal for bibs. That is the reason why I'm going away from them. Once they wear out, they're just no good, and I will show that later on in the video as well. You'll see the bib on the front is completely folding over. So by this time of the race, and you really can't see the rain, I know you can see the drops and everything, but it was just pouring down rain during this race, and I was completely drenched, and my boots, everything, like I couldn't get any more soaked at this point of the race. And it's almost a good thing, because at a point you're just so maximum dirty and soaked that you can really just do whatever you want. It doesn't matter if you step in a puddle or splash around in it, or, you know, I noticed that later on in the race when I was stopping to cool my bike down. After I had gotten it started, when it was overheating, I would stop every 5 miles or so at a puddle, and I would just start splashing water all over the radiator to try to cool things down. And it's nice to be completely soaked and dirty at that point, because it didn't matter if I was just laying in a puddle. I mean, it wasn't going to make me any more wet or dirty or uncomfortable. So Idaho City downtown, I know I already went through downtown, but there was a fire in 2015 that took out 5 downtown buildings, and that was due to arson. But there is an ice cream shop down there that I used to go to on street bike rides. It was a good destination point. Idaho City is still really a good destination point. It's a historic town. It used to be the capital of Idaho, and it's just a cool looking town. It looks like an Old West kind of town. It has nice styled wooden buildings that are it looks like the Old West, and I think it's a cool town to go to and just walk around. There's plenty of places to eat, and there's antique shops around. Yeah, Trudy's Kitchen, the cafe, lots of places to eat, and it's a good place to hang out. There's trails right next door to town. That's why this race leaves from downtown, because there are trails literally just right outside of town, so it makes it pretty nice. Police in town are pretty motorcycle friendly as well. So the rules for these enduros are a little bit different. I kind of explained how the timing works and everything, and the special tests. Those are the main things that you have to worry about. But there's also things like impounding your bike. So you have to take your bike to impound. Your bike has to be completely clean, spot free. Can't have any mud under the fenders. And basically they impound your bike overnight, and they also check your gas can. Your gas can has to be red, can't be any other color. And when the race comes up, they'll give you a certain amount of time before the race where you can go into the impound and take your bike out. It's usually 10 minutes before your race starts, and so you can take it out and work on it if you want, but you cannot start your bike until they start you at the start line. So you are not allowed to start your bike until they're ready for you to actually start racing, which I find that to be a interesting rule that I had no idea about last year. So this year I was ready for it, but yeah, last year I tried to start my bike, which was no bueno for me. The interesting part about doing these races is it's not only as fast as you can do the course. It's as fast as you can do the course while reading not only the terrain but also course markings. You really have to look out for those. So you're always looking around. You'll see me pause in a lot of sections where maybe there's an intersection or I hop out onto a road. What I'm doing there is I'm stopping and I'm scanning the trees around me for arrows or course markings. The X in this style of race means a danger. I know that a lot of people who don't know the markings would think, oh, maybe that's a do not enter or something like that, but usually there's just a danger there. It just means slow down and use caution. And then basically beyond that, there are color-coded arrows that I'm looking for. So on day 2, they used blue and white arrows. So as you see on some trees here, as I pass by, you can see those markings, and that's what I'm looking for as I'm riding. But the goal for this race was to be consistent, and pretty early on I figured out that my bike was not doing well, so I tried to stay off the clutch and just be nice to the bike. I was trying to keep it in a gear low enough to where I could climb without using the clutch and just rolling it on. And with these 450 4-strokes, it's actually pretty easy. As long as you keep momentum, it's pretty easy to have enough power to make it up things. So it did me justice. I didn't get stuck on this course once, and I actually only fell over once, so it worked out pretty well, generally speaking. Like I said, though, about 3/4 of the way through the race, my bike quit on me. I went through this gigantic adventure, basically limping my bike down to a road, and then at the road I made it to a gas stop. At that gas stop I had some guys there who had some water. I filled up my radiator with water, and I checked my oil. My oil was still full, so that was a very good sign. And I waited there for somebody to help me load it into the back of their truck because I didn't think it was going to run really. And I just started thinking, because I really did not want to DNF, did not finish on this race. I wanted to at least finish. I got to thinking that maybe the bike had cooled down enough and that it had a full radiator now. Maybe it would get me to the finish line. So I started it. It fired right up, and from there I just took off. I took off and I tried to keep my momentum up, and anywhere where I had to go slow or do a climb, it immediately started shooting steam everywhere, so I had to stop it, get to a puddle, and start soaking it as much as I could, just trying to cool it down. And I ended up limping it back all the way to the finish line that way. And man, it was an adventure, but I'm honestly pretty proud of this finisher trophy because I really worked for it. It was honestly a lot of fun. I had a great time on this course, and one of the checks, or one of the special tests I should say, was actually very hard enduro-ish. It had a lot of logs to climb over, had a pretty good slimy downhill, had a lot of cool stuff. I felt like I did a pretty smooth job. I didn't lose my momentum all the way through it and stuff. I felt like it was pretty fun. It was a really good course overall. Really good, diverse special tests. And like I said, I didn't do anything too fast or crazy. I was just trying to make it through the course without falling over, and I succeeded in doing that. I didn't get hurt or anything like that. So I've got another race coming up in a couple of weeks, Silver Mountain Hard Enduro. So I'll be on the 250 2-stroke for that one, and that race is always an adventure. That's kind of the big race of the year for me, so that I really look forward to. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my my commentary up to this point. I think I'll let you guys watch the rest of the video, and I will have some commentary later on in the video, as well as some off-the-bike footage, third-person footage of me rolling through the finish line. So I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Yeah, I think the checks are going to be a little bit difficult today. Not as easy.
You good? Oh yeah.
Have a fun day?
Oh yeah. Yesterday was something else. Today, I'm actually liking today better.
Really?
Everybody's all like,
Well, the Ghost Riders even, they were like, man, it was way worse today.
Yeah.
But it depends on the section.
on, guys? This is Carl with the RacerRed channel here at the Idaho City 100, and I'm approximately 5 miles away from the finish line. Had a good race pretty much all day. Bike was acting up and I think it finally seized, so it DNF'd me about 5 miles away from the finish line. All I had to do was climb this hill right here and then drop down that direction. I think racing is just too expensive. That's all there is to it. I keep filling the radiator with water. It shot steam everywhere, of course. It's overheating. The brutality and your bike just stops. Pushed through all day today. Felt like I was doing pretty decent. Yeah, I think I can drop straight down there. Maybe. See if I can get to a road. The idea is to get it down to this trail. There's my handling issue. And the front tire, look at that front tire. It's folding over. Bibs. They work okay for a little bit. Anyways, just wanted to document this extremely fun time I'm having. This is called bulldogging. It's kind of the pansy way to get down a mountain. Well, it worked. Kinda. DNF.
What do you need, bud?
New engine.
Oh, it's toast?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let him know.
Thanks, man. Well, I'm gonna eat some food. Wait for my ride, I guess. Wait for a sweep guy. Maybe he'll pull me out. Catch you guys on the next video. Peace. Log entry number 2. It's starting to turn over now. Maybe it'll actually start and get me down this mountain to a checkpoint or something. We'll see. Yeah, it just seized. I'm letting it cool down. It might start again just enough to get me to the next checkpoint.
Dude, mine's doing the same thing up those hills, bro. You want me to let anybody know?
People have already been notified, so you're good. Looks like we're gonna finish. I'm just gonna Slow and steady this thing, let it cool down every climb.